Welcome to the podcast, Not Your Doc Anymore. I am your host, Daren Watts. Here we address the issues essential for your health and provide information to help you become your best advocate. We encourage empowerment through education. I cannot emphasize enough the efficacy or the beauty of those who understand clinical practice and are in the trenches on a regular basis and have had years of experience. Here to address the topic of life coaching is Andrew Taylor. Good to have you.
Good to be here. Thanks, Daren.
This is great. Before we get too far and I just give this glowing recommendation for Andrew, I want you to know, everybody to know that he's my brother-in-law. Love him. I've known him for probably over 30 years. And this is awesome to be able to rub shoulders with you and to be able to discuss something that you're so passionate about, not just in what you're doing in your own business, but I think through your life.
Thank you. No, honored. And yes, you have been in my life pretty much most of my life.
That's true.
Brother-in-law feels brother. That's how long you've been in my life, since I was very young.
So true. I'm going to just say a few things about Andrew. He grew up skiing and snowboarding in the Wasatch Mountains and spent his college and summers as a river guide in the upper Colorado River. After graduating from the University of Utah with a degree in organizational communication, Andrew went on to Costa Rica in search of whitewater, where he worked for Outward Bound Costa Rica, running their whitewater program. And I remember those days very well. During his time in Costa Rica, he fell in love with the Costa Rican people and the wide range of adventure activities the country has to offer. And I just have to say, probably the best vacation that we've ever done as a family was directed by you in Costa Rica. It was amazing. A week of high adventure. We loved it. In 2002, he received a master's degree in business administration from Westminster College in Salt Lake City and pursued a substance abuse disorder counseling certificate through the University of Utah in 2012. I know that Andrew has spent countless hours working with young people and their families looking for a better way. He's a published author of the book, Launch, A Guide to Getting Unstuck, Navigating Life and Thriving. We'll talk more about that. Awesome book. And he's also a speaker, entrepreneur, and most importantly, a father. He's founder of Pure Life Adventure, a therapeutic gap semester program in Costa Rica, and Octagon Mentoring, a coaching program for young people and their families. Sometimes I have to pinch myself that I'm surrounded by so many wonderful people in my life, and you're one of those.
Thank you.
This is great. Why don't we start first, Andrew, and talk a little bit about your experience in adventure therapy down in Costa Rica.
As you mentioned, I took your family on a trip to Costa Rica, and sometime after college, I started an expedition company, an adventure travel tourism business. And I took a lot of families to Costa Rica, and I was very inspired by the experiences that families would have in the outdoors. Not just the outdoors, though, but like adventuring and being uncomfortable and getting off the beaten path. And I got a front row seat as a guide and business owner to just see families connecting and having a meaningful and even life-changing experience. And they were just there for fun, a vacation.
Yeah.
And that's what really inspired me to take it one step further and make the work that I did in Costa Rica and do a therapeutic program. And we've put together a 2 to 3 month gap semester program for primarily young adults. We do work with older adolescents, but young people that are stuck, lots of young, like bright, good, young, like I say kids, but just good kids that are struggling in college, struggling with their mental health, cannabis. I see a lot of self-medicating with video games and cannabis and endless scrolling and all these devices and things. It's just a complicated time to be a young person. And what we do is ask them to step out of all that, step into nature, and be in Costa Rica, this beautiful country with such warm and loving people, and then we get them on a surfboard.
Yeah.
We put them on a raft, or we ask them to rappel a waterfall, and it's good medicine. It turns out it's really good medicine. They get good sleep, good exercise, a much better diet. They do a digital detox, and it's a really powerful way to get a reset in life and really address some of those mental health issues that they're struggling with.
I love it. Great. This is a perfect segue. We're going to talk a little bit about your amazing book, Launch. I won't say the rest of that, but what an awesome resource for parents and for me to understand the generation that we are seeing right now. And there's so many different aspects about that book. I just want to encourage everybody to get it. If you're a parent or a grandparent and you need to understand people and who you're dealing with in the rising generation, I think it's awesome. So let's talk about that. Tell me a little bit about the process of writing that book and how it helped you in developing your current coaching program.
I'm not a natural born writer, although that process, so that was a painful process for me, not a fun one. And it was really, but it was such a powerful process of really needing to flesh out my ideas in more detail. But basically, when I started Pure Life Adventure, the program in Costa Rica, I sat down and I made a list. I was 35 at the time, and I'm like, what do I wish I had known at 18 or 19 that I now know? And I had made some mistakes, married and divorced, failed businesses, and some things that I had some refining to do in my 20s and early 30s and still do, like all of us. But I sat down and made a list of here's what I wish I had known. And quite frankly, people were probably telling me these things, and maybe I wasn't hearing them. But
no, you weren't.
I wanted to write them in a way that could reach the young people. So when we started the program, I started teaching a weekly sort of life skills class, if you want to call it that, around maybe less clinical, not mental health, but more career development. What's it like to be in a healthy relationship? What do you need to know about yourself? Self-awareness, all these things. And we call that Pure Life Bridges class. And I had the opportunity, the whole 10,000 hours thing, if that's real or not, but I literally sat on the ground for thousands and thousands of hours with these young people, teaching them and also getting feedback.
Yeah.
And really, that for me was the training ground of the content of the book Launch, because it worked. Young people were like, this makes sense to me. This is helpful. I got lots of input, lots of stories from just great conversations that were flushed out with these young people in this setting. And so for years and years, they're like, where's the book? Where's the book?
Yeah.
Typing. And I was starting an international business and all these things. And when COVID hit, my business closed for a year. Pure Life Adventure, and that's when I started Octagon Mentoring, the coaching and mentoring program.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what would I add on to this? Because I only had people for 9 or 10 weeks. I could only do 9 or 10 classes. And I had 7 or 8 more that I wanted to add, be it time management, habit and routine things and all those things. So anyway, I added to that to create Octagon Mentoring, which was in addition to the curriculum that I'd written at Pure Life, and that was the book Launch.
Okay.
And so
awesome.
It really is 8 aspects of life that I feel are important, and information and stories about each aspect of life on how to implement that into your own life. And then stories from adventures and running rivers and surfing and just life things. And so I really like to take that metaphor of the outdoors and nature and really connect it to the ideas that I'm trying to teach young people. And to your point, I wrote the book to the young adults, but I really want parents, grandparents, everyone else to read it as well, because it's meant to be a connecting thing for families to help them understand each other.
That's great. That's awesome. Thanks for that explanation. Can you explain what life coaching entails for young adults and how it differs from traditional counseling or therapy?
Yeah. So life coaching right now is a little bit of, I would say, Wild West, although it's not necessarily wild, but it's not a regulated profession. There's not a certifying board or anything. In that way, it's new. And so anybody can stand up and say, I'm a life coach. And a lot of people are, and that's fine. That's fine. And then you have these counselors and therapists that go to graduate school and things like that, and they're licensed in what they do, highly specialized. And it can be a confusing time right now. And what does a life coach do?
Sure.
And I would say that what we do on a broad scale, a therapist is there to really dial into some deeper issues, really get into the depth of how you were raised and traumas you may have experienced or some real serious things. A life coach is there, or coaching and mentoring as I like to see it. We're there to say, listen, there's a space for you to go deep with your feelings, your emotions, your history, things that have happened to you. This isn't that place. We'll talk about things. We're here to process and hear you and reflect and give feedback. And I always joke, this is just very lighthearted, so don't anyone take me seriously, but I joke with my clients after we have some rapport. I don't care how you feel. I don't care that you're sad today. We need to get a job. And when people are wanting coaching and mentoring, it means they want to get from A to B. They want to get somewhere, and they're struggling to do that. Oftentimes, it's because there are mental health issues. But you can overdo that. You can over-pathologize things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is just laziness or entitlement or lack of confidence and all these things. And so there is a time and a place for both. I think they complement each other really well. Most of the clients we work with are working with a good therapist.
Yeah.
And I will speak for the differences in our case. Most therapists, it's, hey, here's your session. There's no contact out of therapy. That's appropriate. That's a good thing. We are 2, 3, 4, sometimes 7 sessions a week. Here's my cell phone. I'm not on call. Don't call me at midnight. If you have an emergency, call 911 or go to a hospital. These are people that are stable enough to receive this type of support. But I might get a call at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hey, I've got a job interview tomorrow. Great. Yeah. What do you need to know? How should I dress? All right. And I might take 20, 30 minutes. That's not a planned session, but there's a fluidity to it that I think can be really helpful that a lot of a person might need. And I do primarily coach young people. I have a client who's 56 years old right now.
Wow.
So that's what coaching is. It tends to be a little bit more fluid. Not every coach does it that way, but that's my model. And I think that's important because we're looking at changing patterns and behaviors. We're looking at actionable things. And so that's where I'll sit down with the client and we'll very much get into the depths of their soul if it's appropriate. And a lot of my coaches, we do a lot of training on this is our line. And I'll say all the time, hey, that's a conversation for your therapist. And I'd love to dive in, but let me know what your therapist says. A lot of times they're coming to us and we're working in conjunction with a good therapist. And the therapist or the client are saying, hey, my therapist told me I needed to do these 3 things this week. We're like, let's go.
Yeah, how awesome.
Now we will go do. We go to lunch. We go hand out resumes, side by side, sitting together, doing actionable things. And being an outdoors guy, we like to implement adventure things, and we go to rock climbing gyms or hikes. We go skiing.
Right.
It's relational, but it's also like we got to get things done. And it's just a shift. It's just a different way of approaching, and I think it really goes well with good therapy.
That's great. Our podcast last week was with a child psychiatrist, and it was really interesting listening to Dr. Rich talk about how much he does rely on other people, other therapists, and people who are doing stuff. They actually have a day program where people come and he meets with them, but then there's teachers and there's therapists and there's occupational therapists, and everybody kind of complement one another. Sounds like it's altogether something somebody needs. It's awesome.
It's a more holistic approach.
It's great.
I think that I've seen a few therapists, not many, that feel a little threatened by coaches. And I see most that have now seen, okay, this is a really powerful complement to getting a client to act upon the things that they're working on in therapy. And that's been fun. So we work with a lot of really good therapists. And
it's awesome.
Happy when they see the value in it.
That's great. What are some concerns that are common amongst young adults that they may have about starting a life coaching program, and how do coaches address these concerns?
I do think this is a space we do get a number of clients that don't want to do therapy either at all or anymore for whatever reason. And that's understandable.
Yeah.
And so I think the first concern is this therapy. And when we can say, hey, it's not, there's actually I have another kind of some colleagues that are running another a coaching program in there. The name of their program is Not Therapy for that very reason.
Interesting.
And so I do think that there is an element of, okay, yeah, I'm tired of it. They get fatigue in a therapeutic setting, or maybe they're just really rigid and they're like, no therapy, I'm out. once we can establish a little bit of relationship and they see like, oh, we're just going to get some things done. And our mantra that we often say is, we want what you want. If a young person calls me and like, I don't want to do therapy, but I want this, that, and the other. And it's oftentimes a job, friends, a relationship, and I want to feel good. I want to feel healthy. As long as you want healthy things, we want the same thing. We're going to start creating action plans, actionable steps, accountability to act upon that. Awesome. And so the concerns or the problems that I see, we don't get as much resistance, or we don't get a lot of resistance to our process for the right person that's open to it.
Well, I'm just going to ask what I think to me is a glaring concern is, how about cost? What does that tend to equate for somebody who wants to engage in something that sounds like something that maybe almost every day?
It can get expensive fast.
Can it?
Yeah, it can. And I mean, there's, not speaking for the broader field of coaching, but we don't take an hourly approach. We take more of a package retainer approach, where it's a whatever it takes approach. And what I mean by that is we have different levels of coaching that we offer. And usually our basic level is 2 sessions a week. Oftentimes we're coordinating with some kind of parent check-in if it's a young adult, some sort of parental piece. And then we might be also talking to their therapist weekly with their permission. And it becomes this big team that is now supporting them. And we are available for whatever may come up. And so to say hourly is difficult. Now that sounds salesy, but our base program is around $1,800 to $2,500 a month for 2 sessions a week, parent check-ins, coordination with other professionals and things like that. That can go up to $7,000 to $10,000 a month. I've got a rental unit that we have some young adults that will live in the rental unit. We have daily check-ins, and we get a lot of young people coming out of programming, needing a sober environment, and those types of things that we're seeing every day. Yeah. And so that can be up to $7,000 or $10,000 a month plus. And when I say it's a whatever it takes model, we don't ever say, hey, time's up. You've met your hours for the week. Yeah. Our session's over. If we've had 2 sessions in a week and a client is having a tough week, or the parent and the client are having a tough week, there is no scenario other than time limitations. It might not be, we don't just sit around and wait for the phone to ring, but it might be, hey, we had a blow up, something happened, all hands on deck, hey, let's get on a phone call. We may spend 5 extra hours in a week if something happens in a crisis scenario or just something urgent comes up. We're never going to say, not part of your package, sorry. We're going to do that work. Now, if that's a one-off, we may not even charge more for it. We probably won't. If that becomes a norm where it's like, hey, there's more things going on here, we may go up to a different sort of pay scale to account for those extra hours. And I like that. I like that there's never a scenario where we're like, well, that's not included in your price. It's just we do what needs to get done to help the family and the young person. If we see that that's going to continue to be a lot more, we sit down, we talk, say, hey, we're putting a lot of more manpower into this. And oftentimes people feel it's very fair.
Yeah, great. I mean, that compares to an adventure program, which is actually, what, 30-ish thousand a month, or what are you looking at?
20,000 a month.
20,000.
Yeah. 20,000 a month, rehab, and they're not apples to apples.
30,000 in rehab. Yeah.
And unfortunately, just care is expensive, especially private care.
Yeah.
And to your point, what my mission has been is I'm on both ends of the spectrum where my Costa Rica program is very expensive. I like trying to offer a similar offering on this other end without the vehicles and the overnight and everything in a way that we can still be highly influential for the right client for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
And I have to say, it seems so nice to be able to get somebody in their own environment to be able to, they're out trying to be a part of normal society, not in a therapy program, not somewhere else, totally isolated, and then being able to help them in their own environment. I think that's a huge thing, Andrew.
It is, and it's messy. And I tell families that, when they're like, oftentimes or sometimes they're looking at a really intensive program, or they're looking at us, or they're coming out of a really intensive program. And maybe they might benefit from a more intensive support, but they're like, no, we don't want to. We want something more affordable. We want something where son or daughter can be at home or
Yeah.
back at college. And I always say, cool, you're picking the messier route. We can be successful, and we often are. It's going to require a lot more of everybody involved. And if people are ready for that, then we can be successful.
That's great. How can parents evaluate whether a life coaching program is suitable for their child? And what should they look for in a reputable coach?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, do you believe in the value of it? Do you think it could work? I think that oftentimes the measurement is, hey, we're doing therapy. It's okay. Son or daughter needs more. And life coaching is a really broad term. I think to break down what we do a lot of executive functioning coaching. Mm-hmm. We're working with a lot of young people with autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, smart, good young people that are having a hard time connecting the dots. Oh, I need to go get this thing done. I need to register for school. They get overwhelmed by that, just the idea of that, and they don't register at all. That's executive functioning coaching. Let's sit down. Let's click on the website. Let's open it up. And this isn't an issue of intelligence. This is an issue of overstimulation and a different way of the brain working and seeing things. So we do a lot of executive functioning coaching. We do career coaching. A lot of young people are worried about what am I going to do with my career. We do parent coaching. We get a lot of young parents, and more are struggling with what kind of boundaries should I hold? How should I communicate this to my son or daughter? Mm-hmm. Really good parents with great intentions, but parenting's hard. I'm in it, you're in it. We all make mistakes. And so we do parent coaching. We do college coaching, which is like that executive coaching, but we actually have some college students are like, here's access to my grades. We help them schedule out their week. Hey, you have midterms coming up. Yeah, I saw that. Okay, do you have a study plan for that? There is a lot of different kinds of coaching that we're doing, some sober coaching. We're not, I have some background in addiction work, but I'm working with a young person right now that's just trying to stay off of cannabis. It's not a heavy addiction, but we're talking every week. We're doing drug testing every week. We're implementing accountability measures and those types of things. And then life coaching might just be, hey, we're going to go grab lunch and talk about the type of person you want to be. And we really draw from my book a lot. I've got a whole curriculum there. And so we see young people that are like, what am I going to talk about? I don't want to have to come and just talk about my feelings. It's okay, great. If you have nothing to say, we have something we want you to work on this week.
Yeah.
We have specific concepts and curriculum to read and study. And here's, for lack of a better word, an assignment or a reflection that we'll come back to next week. And I find that a lot of people light up when they see that, because there's this kind of a discomfort or awkwardness in, we're just going to talk about feelings, And it's like, I get that. No, let's talk about, how's your sleep? What do you mean? When do you go to bed? 2 a.m? When do you get up? I don't know. Right? Okay, cool. You're getting 5-6 hours a week. No wonder you feel awful. What do you do until 2 a.m? Play video games. Great. Your mind is super overstimulated with that screen. Your sleep's crap. You're eating Taco Bell before you go to bed at 2 a.m. All right, your digestion's a mess because of the time you're sleeping. Let's talk about sleep for an hour. Just that alone, getting a regular sleep schedule, having a dark room, not eating a huge meal before bed, and getting off of screens could actually dramatically impact your well-being. And yet we tend to think that either I'm depressed or not, or I'm this or that or not, or I'm moody or not, I'm in a bad mood. No, you didn't sleep, you ate crap, and you spent 12 hours on a screen. Of course you're in a bad mood.
Yeah.
The science says that.
Right.
Those are the kinds of conversations that a life coach can have without getting into the depths of trauma and more clinical therapeutic things. And I think a good coach is someone that can start to say, hey, let's reflect and talk about why you feel tired, crappy, moody, angry, or just you're not getting where you want to be because, you're getting crap sleep, man.
Yeah, it's great. I know this is going to sound a little bit repetitive, but I really want to hammer in this point with this question. How do life coaching programs, I'm going to use the term life coaching, it's one word, coaching programs, aim to provide lifetime benefits to participants? I know you just said that, but let's just hammer that point one more time.
Okay. Beautiful question. The brain isn't fully developed till we're about 26 years old, right? You know that. A lot of people know that.
Yeah.
A lot of young people don't also. And so we're highly malleable in that developing phase, even to our mid-20s. And the metaphor of an airplane traveling a long distance, if it gets off a little bit, the further it goes, the further it goes, the further it gets off path, whatever the path may be. If we can, at a young age, teach young people the benefits of good nutrition, moving their body, good sleep, self-reflection, self-awareness. Self-awareness. I know people in their 50s and 60s that have no self-awareness. They're difficult to be around. They may be a good, decent human, but you're like, man, where is that? If you're getting hard feedback or even direct feedback or good feedback at 21,
Wow.
that can change your whole path, your whole trajectory. And I see that really dramatically in our program in Costa Rica because it's intensive. They're immersing themselves into this thing. I would have benefited from that. Any human being would benefit from self-awareness, feedback, good habits, and just some input on how we impact the world because we all have flaws, some more than others, but we all have flaws. And one of the most powerful things I've been able to do in my life, or that has just happened to me, whether I wanted it or not, is hard feedback.
Yeah.
Sitting down with a close friend and saying, what are my flaws, dude? Where are my blind spots? And getting that feedback, tough pill to swallow, and going, maybe I should work on that.
Wow.
That will make for a better marriage someday. That will make a better dad or a mom someday. That'll make a better professional someday. And if the younger you learn it, the more time you have to work on it and practice it and be aware of it. And so I cannot say enough. And that's one of the reasons I love that young adult phase. It's such a pivotal time of life and a confusing time.
Yeah.
And I would say this generation right now, they're looking at a tough housing market. AI is about to dramatically change every career we know. And that will be, listen, I believe in the human spirit. I believe that'll be okay, but it's scary.
Yeah.
And the politics are chaotic,
Sure. Sure.
without getting into the weeds. And an economy that's been saying we're about ready to have a recession right now. And you see this in your own kids, that 21 and 22-year-olds, how am I going to buy a house?
Yeah.
What jobs am I going to work? People are getting married late. All these apps, dating's a mess. It's hard. It's just harder. And it's just, with all the comforts and technologies and all the good things we have in society, and we do, it's a complicated time to be a young person.
Sure. A lot to unpack there. With life coaching becoming more visible on social media, how do coaches maintain authenticity and credibility in an era of the influencer culture?
That's a good question. Like we said in the beginning, anybody can say they're a life coach. So it's easy to criticize this field.
Sure.
And quite frankly, for me, sometimes I'm like, I'm a life coach. I don't like to call it that, but that's what I do.
Sure.
I'm always like, yeah. And because there are a lot of people online and you can say anything, but is it helpful? If it's helpful, I'm in.
Yeah.
Is it helpful? But there are things that feel helpful but aren't. And a really good example of that that's out there is this Andrew Tate guy, not Andrew Taylor, Andrew Tate, who is really charismatic, very divisive, and is really persuasive with young men and boys. And not promoting, I would say, positive things, but has built a brand around, I'm a straight shooter and I call it as it is and all these things. You can get in trouble out there. Young, impressionable people can get in big trouble in terms of following darker or less helpful or healthy movements or personalities and things like that. I mean, how do you know? Again, is it relatively healthy? Do you have a sense for that? I love AI. ChatGPT, type it into ChatGPT. Is this a credible influencer? Is this a credible voice to be listening to? Is this a healthy, someone that I can trust? Again, I don't want to sound self-promoting, but this is how I frame it. I've been working with young people for over 12 years, but really intensively for 12 years. I've been working in a mental health environment. We consider our coaching method clinically informed. So a lot of my coaches have worked in therapeutic settings. And what that means is we know our line. And here's how it plays out. you get a client, say you're coaching and you get a client, and the client says, hey, like my parents don't really know this, but I'm eating a lot of food and then purging. I have bulimia.
Yeah.
Don't tell my parents. Now, any well-intentioned human wants to be helpful in that setting. And that's a clinically informed coach knows, first of all, that's a very dangerous behavior and a big deal. They're also going to know not to just start saying, oh, but your body looks so good. Why would you think that about your body? Which is the number one worst thing you say to someone with an eating disorder.
Sure.
And so I would say, depending on the issues that your son or daughter or yourself you may have, you're going to want to just be thoughtful about what kind of coach you're putting in front of your son or daughter or yourself that might have some awareness and some training around that. And I do think there's a lot of value in what we do in terms of that we're clinically informed. Hey, listen, I can't coach you on this situation, number one. Number two, that's really serious, and we do need to get a licensed clinician involved in this conversation. We have actually turned down clients that won't go to a therapist, that reveal clinical issues to us, that we're like, we can't be helpful to you. We can listen, but you need a licensed professional for this specific thing. I can help you otherwise. And I've had people be like, no, I want you to help us. And it's like, that's our line. Because we can do harm. Knowing that we are capable of harm with a vulnerable client that is asking for strong advice or confiding in us something important, I think there is an ethical boundary there. At one point, hopefully in the near future, want to create a coaching certification course to be able to teach these things, because that's where it becomes the quote unquote Wild West. In that,
great.
You know, someone who's hung up their shingle, maybe they're really good at giving advice and they're really relational and they can be really helpful, but they get into a scenario where they're like, and it's just human nature, I want to be helpful. Oh, you look great. You shouldn't do that. And immediately you're in a situation that you could be doing harm to a client and without realizing it.
That's great. I love it that you're talking about knowing your scope of practice is what we used to refer to it when I was practicing medicine. But I also think, Andrew, you maintain your authenticity by being present. And that's just so powerful in the influencer culture where you get sound bites, you get just programming by what you're listening to. But having somebody present is so incredibly powerful. I think that physical touch, the presence of somebody is awesome.
Being in person, sitting with them.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean by being present?
Yeah.
Like that face to face.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Totally love that. All right. How are online life coaching programs adapting to the needs of a digitally native young adult?
When I started my coaching business, it was COVID.
Yeah.
And it was born out of necessity because my other business closed overnight. And initially I was like, I don't want to do remote or online coaching. And within a day, I'm like, that ain't happening. Even with my clients that I was in the same vicinity with, and things had shut down, someone would get symptoms and it was like, we need to do this online. And I think it can be super, super helpful. Zoom is helpful. And what you start to realize is that there's a real power in the relationship and the style match.
Yeah.
And I've worked with a lot of really brilliant therapists through the years, and just watching, you can have a really brilliant therapist or coach. And if the sometimes it's just chemistry. And so do I think there's immense benefit if you've got someone in California doing a Zoom call with someone in New York City, a coach in California coaching someone in New York City, but there's chemistry and it's a match, and that young person in New York City really connects to that person in California, that's a huge win.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a huge win. And so if it's a video, then great. I am working with two Gen Zers, two talented Gen Zers right now. And they're developing an app right now, and a technology that is an AI app that we're going to start using with coaching and also therapists. And anybody could use the app, but that therapists and coaches can give their client where they can do daily check-ins. So when we're out of session, say I meet with someone twice a week,
Yeah.
the other 5 days a week, they can set a goal in the morning. This app will prompt them. They have an AI chat feature. Hey, I'm having a rough morning. I yelled at my roommate, and I'm just feeling down this morning. And that app will talk to them. ChatGPT is actually one of the top uses for ChatGPT right now is therapy.
Wow.
And so,
Wow.
and I've gotten on and been like, I'm pissed off. And like, I've been really pleased with how ChatGPT has helped me. And so I don't think in some cases it'll replace people. I don't think it will. I think it's going to be a huge supplement.
Sure.
And we're using ChatGPT a lot in our coaching, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, we're talking about this app where you get a daily check-in. That check-in is going to a portal where I can get online and see 20 of my clients and say, Johnny's having a good day, Amy's having a bad one, and Brooks is accomplishing their goals and has talked to the app for 10 minutes a day. And then we get back to our sessions and we just have more, have more support.
Yeah.
Data and things like that. So I'm very, very excited about that. And in terms of like remote work, it's like having that coach in your pocket.
Yeah.
And, is it the same? No. Will it be helpful? Yes. If you're open-minded, I think we're going to see that it can be very helpful. Will it replace? Probably not.
Yeah.
And what I've told people, a coach or another therapist or a professional who's scared, like AI won't replace you. Your competitor who's using AI will.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'll tell a quick story or two, but we had one of my coaches, my program director, was working with a client, and his diet regimen was awful. And she was like trying to talk him into something different, and it's great. I don't see the problem. I like it. It's great. And it was just, we're talking like frozen food out of the freezer, and he was not open to her feedback. She's like, should we chat GPT? Let's tell chat GPT what you're eating every day. And they put in the exact amount, and they said, this is the product and everything. And chat GPT was like, your sodium's through the roof. You have zero dietary fiber. That's going to lead to colon cancer. He just was like, bam, 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 bam. And the client was like, whoa. And she's like, well, let's ask chat GPT what's similar but would be healthier. And he's, yeah, let's do. And next thing we know, we got this kid open to a healthier diet. And while the coach had not been able to convince, the coach sitting there and saying, let's ask this anonymous, neutral device to give you some feedback. And it worked. It's scary. It's new. What is this technology going to mean? Is it going to replace me and whatnot? Let's get creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be good and bad that comes from it, but let's get creative with it.
Yeah.
So I'm already seeing benefits of digital technologies helping us coach from a distance and in person.
That's great. Let's be frank what AI is. It's taking data from large amounts of data banks, books, and people who are knowledgeable about these topics, and it's being able to answer a question from those sources. And so when you've got somebody who is a licensed clinician who is well-read and understood and understands all these topics, then they're going to be able to answer these questions. But AI is just basically extracting data from all the information that's available, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah. And the few times I've gotten on to just test it for therapy things, also like when we're talking to people, even if we have a good relationship of trust, we might filter, we might leave some details out that we're embarrassed about. On the computer, it's just like, this is how I feel, and you might get a little bit more authentic experience.
Interesting.
In that way. And again, it's been a nice supplement, but not a replacement. And so I do think that we're going to see a lot of mental health, physical health benefits that come from this new technology.
Love it.
I think we're going to see a lot of it. And I think it'll get better and more accurate.
Yeah.
Instead of your patients coming in and saying, I looked this up on WebMD and I have this, they're going to say, I looked it up on ChatGPT. It's going to drive the doctors nuts, always. I know your pain, but hopefully it'll help everybody work together. And maybe even doctors can be like, let's ask this database what they think.
Yeah.
Oh, the database says I'm right. What do you think we should do here?
Yeah. You know what? It's just getting more people reading. That's what I think.
Interesting.
It's getting more people reading and the bold parts of whatever the book is. Your book is not too long, which is really nice. Some books are too long. They have a really good point at the beginning and then they have a lot of fluff. Anyway, I think ChatGPT is giving you the highlights.
Yeah.
All right. To go on, how do life coaching programs address the impact of digital distractions and promote a healthy balance between screen time and personal growth? Here, after we have this long discussion about AI.
I will say that digital distractions are probably the number one problem or challenge of all of our generations, but especially the younger generation. I say all of us because we're all susceptible to it, but the developing brain, and we're now seeing this in Gen Z where they've really grown up with it, it is insane, the distraction and what that means. I actually did an interview yesterday with my business partner in Costa Rica, and we had a 30-minute discussion about digital detox. And we are in this unique position where we're seeing 21-year-olds. We asked them to be willing to step away from technology to come to our program. We're seeing 21-year-olds checking their phone for the first time since they hit puberty.
Wow.
Or even 8, 9, 10 years old.
What?
And you think about it, if someone gets a smartphone at 8, 9, 10 years old, or an iPad, and they're watching it many hours a day, and then as they hit puberty, they're on social media, and it's like, I'm uncomfortable, distract. I'm uncomfortable, distract. I do it, and I'm 47, and I didn't grow up with this, right? And so what we see is that we see an actual physical detox.
Wow.
Discomfort, restlessness, grabbing for it.
Wow.
And that goes on about 24, 48 hours, maybe even a couple days. Discomfort. I don't feel comfortable. And then in a week or two, we just see like smiles and laughing and the light in the eyes and presence. And a lot of our young people are talking about focus and concentration. So I can't say enough. And the battle is never ending. And it will be the struggle of our time.
For sure.
It will be and continue to be.
Yeah. Actually seeing birds outside for the first time and maybe butterflies, all the things that you just eliminate.
Yeah, noticing, right? Noticing, just sitting. It's a beautiful thing. I do think there will be a pendulum swing with this generation. I like younger generations because they get feisty about change, and that's always good for us. And I do think we're, at some point, as the data comes out more and more, much like the cigarette thing with cigarettes and doctors smoking them and, hey, they're relaxing. There's this big swing about, hey, this is really not good for you. We're starting to see that already now.
Yeah.
And I do think that younger generation's going to get a little pissed off in a good way. And they're going to be like, we shouldn't be on this stuff. This isn't good for us. Not everybody will, of course, but it'll just be interesting to see if there's a counterculture that rises up, and I really hope they do.
Yeah, love it. Well, you've answered some of these questions, but we'll just harp on it again. What are some effective ways for young adults and their parents to assess the outcomes and success of life coaching?
It's subtle. It's interesting because as the months go on, as we're working with a family, there can be this trend with a family or even a young person, usually parents, where like all the problems they came to with us get better, but 4 months later, they're talking about new problems. And we all do this. Yeah. And it's like, I think that one of the things that we're really good at doing is 3-4 months in is saying, hey, I just want to recognize this son or daughter that wasn't going to school, wasn't getting out of bed, wasn't functioning, now has a job, is going to school, is seeing friends and has a community. And yeah, they snapped at you this morning, but let's step back. Yeah. I don't want them to snap at you. Let's work on these next level problems. Yeah, I think we're really good at giving that broad picture of, hey, look at the progress. One of the activities we'll do with our clients and their families, sometimes we work with people for years, but after that first year, we'll say, hey, mom, dad, each of you make a list of everything your son or daughter accomplished this year. Hey, son or daughter, make a list of everything you've accomplished this year. They get together and they start comparing notes, and it'll be 100 things.
Wow.
And so that's the anecdotal stuff. We haven't done a lot of outcomes research yet. It costs money, and we're still in the later stages of our startup years. But I will commit to that at some point, and we'll be able to track long-term benefits. But I just think it's simple. It makes sense. It's practical. And a lot of young people benefit from a good mentor coach. In my case, it was good older brothers and sisters, good older brothers-in-laws and sister-in-laws, good church community leaders, coaches, and teachers. We're doing that in a more formal and structured way.
Yeah.
You're lucky if you get that for free.
Yeah.
You're privileged. And if you're in a community where you can find those people, great. We're in a scenario where it may not be as easy to find or access, or there's a unique situation that we can address that maybe the common community can't, but the concept has been proven for thousands of years.
It's great.
And I will say, young people, teenagers, are programmed to push their parents away. If you're a mom or dad and you're listening, you're like, why isn't my son connecting with me, my daughter? Because developmentally, they go through this phase called individuation where they don't want to hear it from you.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how many times I'm on with a parent and they're like, I told my son or daughter that. And I'm like, I know, but it's you and it's not me.
Yeah.
They heard it from me because I'm not you. That's developmental.
It is.
And I tell
survival. It's a survival instinct.
Yeah, and when my kids are 16 and 17 and they won't hear it from me, you can guarantee Uncle Daren will show up. I hope you do. I'm going to send him to your house. Say, go ask Uncle Daren.
Yeah.
And Uncle Daren will say this, that, and the other, and they'll be like, oh, he's so smart.
Yeah.
Dad, he gets me. You know, like, yep, keep talking to him. Go see Natalie and Daren. Go to their house. And I think that it takes humility for a parent to understand that. And I would say to any parents listening, have the humility to recognize what's happening from this is ingrained in our DNA. This is our ancestors.
Totally. Yeah.
There is a moment where a young person has to say, I'm not them and I don't want to be them, so that they can grow up and actually leave your home, which is the goal.
It is the goal.
That is the goal. As a reminder, that has always been the goal and should stay the goal. To become a healthy young adult, they have to go through that phase. They'll come back, and they will. They always do. The development period ends, and then they recognize, hey, my parents, if you've got your stuff together, my parents actually have some good things to say. I get passionate, Daren. I can go
love
off
it.
on this.
So great. I love the passion. That's what I love about you, Andrew.
Thanks, brother.
What advice would you give to young adults who are interested in pursuing life coaching but are unsure of where to start? These are the people who really want to do what you're doing.
Call me. I'm excited because I do think it's going to develop into an actual profession. And you could say it is now, but we've kind of stumbled into it. But I do think we'll see a point where young people are pursuing this. I think the government, states, whatever, will start to regulate it a little bit more. I welcome that. It's annoying, but nothing but good will come from that. I think that's a healthy thing. And I would honestly say, if anyone's listening to this, call me, because that's genuinely our next step here, is creating a certification course through our method and our model that I believe is ethical and fundamentally sound and healthy. So.
It's great. I love it. Well, this last part is called the Delta segment because it's just how do we evaluate change, and you're, I think, been great about that. But we are human, Andrew, and so I want to ask you, how has being involved with adventure therapy and life coaching changed you?
Ooh, no one's ever asked me that. That's a powerful question. I am very thoughtful as a parent about, probably overly, I probably overthink my parenting right now. I have twin 6-year-olds and a 3-year-old. And I'm very thoughtful about small things with them. Respect, chores. I mean, a lot of good parents are. But I have had this unique position to see parenting mistakes play out. From really good parents, by the way. That's not throwing shade on. A lot of people like to think if a kid's a screw up, well, the parents, of course, no. And I would say that's one of the big changes I've made, is I have a lot more grace and a lot less judgment for parents.
Yeah.
And people, and just humans. Some kids come tough. Some kids run into problems. No matter how good you are, sometimes there's just a young person that struggles. Some people just struggle. I don't know why. Someday when we meet our maker, I'm going to be like, how was this fair? None of it was fair, and that's life, right? And
it is life.
I think that having a lot more grace and patience and just less judgment for the average parent is what's changed me.
That's great.
And I like that. I like being able to sit down with a parent and say, you're a good parent. No, I'm not. My son or daughter's off the rails. You're a good parent. You're a good person.
Yeah.
You're a good parent. We can help you. And guess what? The hardest thing about this life is that we all have this freedom to choose. And guess what? You can do all the right things. We can help you do all the right things. And sometimes a kid just says, F it.
Yeah.
I'm going off the rails. I want to stay off the rails. That's a hard reality in life to accept. And that's been hard for me to accept because I'm a helper. I want to fix. I want to change.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's just a scenario
Nothing
where
to do.
There's nothing else to be done.
Yeah.
But sit back and accept. And that's hard.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Good answer. Thank you, Andrew. I had this conversation yesterday with somebody about their concerns about a broken healthcare system. I'm just going to ask you, how do you feel like we can improve on the care of an individual within our system that we've got?
Should we start another episode? The healthcare system, we're doing the best we can. I tend to be a little bit of a glasses half full nerd sometimes, but it will get there. But this fragmentation of it, there's your physical medical doctor, there's your clinical therapist, there's your coach, there's your nutritionist, there's your fitness coach. And I hope there's a future where we can find a way to bring all that together, because I have seen that firsthand in my program in Costa Rica. And I'm learning more and more every day about gut biome. Well, we know that in depression, serotonin is down, and we know that Zoloft will help. And it will. We have some miracle drugs right now, and you can criticize them all you want, but for a person who's depressed and can get some relief from a Zoloft, that's a miracle.
Yeah, huge.
Or that they have massive anxiety that just makes them want to jump out of their skin every morning.
Yeah.
So I applaud that. But is there something going on in that person's diet that is causing that? And is there something going on? I just think the future of medicine is going to be insanely fascinating and helpful. Because right now we have these silos, and it just is what it is. And listen, if you're a hammer, everything's a nail. If you're a psychiatrist, everything is, here's a med.
Yeah.
If you're OBGYN, everything is this. And
about the menstrual cycle.
if you're a coach, everything is get good sleep, or what do you do?
Yeah.
We're all seeing this from our own lens, and I'm excited about a world where it all comes together.
Yeah.
And we just have this amazing, we learn some things about the body that can be really helpful to people who are struggling.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be amazing? And this is just inspired by what you were saying. And I've always been an advocate that the patient needs to own their own medical record. And think if all of the data they get in each of their silos is owned by them within their own system, and then you get a smart AI thing that takes all your data and puts it all together. But you're the owner of it. You're the owner of what the gynecologist says and what the psychiatrist says and what the life coach says. It would be amazing. I think that'd be a good way to improve. Get a nutritionist and talk about all the health related things that diet can change. So anyway, that's my thoughts today.
Let's task you with that. Will you do that for us?
Yeah,
For society?
I was on that for a second.
I know, I remember.
I know. Yeah, and then I was like, oh, wait, you own my intellectual property? I'm not doing that. All right. Well, let's just say this is a final charge to all who listen. Use this knowledge to go forward and improve your health. Seek out a healthcare provider or a life coach in this scenario that can get you the most appropriate coaching, or urge a loved one to do the same. If you are a healthcare provider or a life coach, go forward with greater knowledge to deliver the best healthcare in one of the best and most vulnerable and essential interactions with those who are entrusted to your care. We must clarify that all advice today or procedures do not substitute for your own professional medical consultation, and in this case, life coaching consultation. In addition, listeners or viewers need to be aware of the limitations of the information that we provided generally. You can find this on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube at notyourdoc ... anymore. And you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok on Not Your Doc Pod or at Doc Watts _. We just need to thank all those who made this possible. Natalie Watts, the president and CEO of Not Your Doc Anymore LLC.
That's my sister.
She's a good one.
I love it.
And our social media managers, Taylor Seberg, Emily Brown, Sarah Marion, and our production manager, Joshua Watts. All right.
Team. Love it.
So good, man.